Hey, I'm Josh Pies, the chief attention getter and hippie capitalist here at C47 Digital Studios. I'm glad you're here. Video podcasting is the trend right now. So if you're being invited onto a podcast, there is a high probability that you're going to be doing something with a video component. And you really need to know how to dress for this. And it's funny, I was thinking about this on the drive into the studio today. I have been producing content, interview content, documentaries, corporate videos, talking head pieces for over 20 years. And I have always told people how to dress because it's important to think through whether you should dress like yourself or you should dress something other. And people will tell you to be authentic, and I agree, you should be authentic, but there are some guidelines that may help you still be authentic, but also honor the fact that you're on a video podcast. So let's go through a couple of those right now. I've got my cheat sheet right here, so I'll bring my eyeline over here for a moment, but we're gonna start with colors, all right? So if anybody has ever said to you, you know what, you really look good in that color looks great with your skin tone, that's already a cue. So if you found a color that works for you, I want you to highly consider that that was a cue that you should lean into that. And for every person, it's kind of different, but there's some warning colors that you got to worry about. One is white. White can sometimes become transparent / translucent, and you can see either undergarments or, I always wear this black chain here, and it gets a little distracting under a white shirt if there's lighting that's going to wash it out. So you might want to mind, one, the thickness of your white clothing, but also maybe not go with white clothing at all. It can be a little bit of a distractor. Now, black also can be problematic. I'm on a black backdrop right now. We got some light splashing on it. You can see it, but if I was wearing all black, that can also disappear into the ether, as it were. So those two solid colors are kind of the polar ends of a spectrum that I try to stay away from. I like to bring color to things, bring some life to it. So I would highly recommend you do that. Now, there's some other things to worry about too. And I used to worry more back in the day, but it still is somewhat relevant today. If you are in a colder climate and you can wear a herringbone jacket or a tight pattern, some cameras can't actually handle that, especially if you are somebody who moves like I do, because the camera imaging sensor struggles to keep up with keeping those things in the right spots, those little points in the right spots. And so your clothing almost looks alive in a negative way. I mean, if it was cool, I'd almost suggest it, but it's really not. So just mind the store on your clothing and lean into the color space that I think you probably already know complements you. Go for that. Now, another thing to avoid is jingly jewelry. Jingly, jangly, it doesn't really matter. It makes noise. And women, more times than men, are going to encounter a problem with jingly jewelry, and it usually stems from bracelets. And I wore this today for a reason. This is a tighter metal bracelet. You can hear it when I move it around deliberately, but it's pretty tight on my wrist. So I would usually say to somebody, hey, that's good because we don't hear it. Now, one problem is if you're somebody who hits a table a lot, you might hear the jewelry against a table. So you may actually at least have to be willing to abandon your jewelry. Sometimes you have to take it off. Another thing is, earrings and necklaces sometimes are layered in ways that it's metal noise. It makes noise. And this is an audio format first, even if it's in video, and even if it's going to look great, the audio's got to be clean. So you're going to have to mind your jewelry in order to do right by the scenario that you're in. Another thing is I love to wear my brand. And so that's why I'm actually wearing this today. This is my company, C47 Films. And so I'm wearing my own brand. And don't hesitate if you've got branded clothing to go ahead and support your own brand, especially if it's a conversation about the work that you do. I love the clarity of supporting your own brand, and this probably will end up in multiple social media outlets, so why don't you go ahead and promote that. Now, your brand colors might not go in line with how great you look, and so for you, if you're doing this on behalf of your employer, you might actually have to go with the brand image over maybe the color tone that I suggested in the first part. All in all, you've just got to go do a good job on camera, and you're going to have to do some of those hard choices. It is what it is. But I do love supporting my brand. Now, a hack in social media is to support other people's brands. I love tagging people and sharing other people's content and supporting them in a good way. So you may be able to support somebody else's brand by strategically wearing their logo and bringing it up in context in your conversation. And that's a really good look to be selfless and share the spotlight with somebody else's brand, but it also may get you some exposure extension because they may share it because they really appreciated it. So it might be a hack in the system where you could, and I actually, if you look on the website, on the page that's dedicated to this conversation, you'll see my friend is Israeli and his wife Ashley is and Ashley own Fat Ash Bakes. They rep their brand on my show. Good idea. I'm also willing to wear their t-shirts on other occasions because they're a great brand and they're good friends and I want to support them. All in all, it's a cool idea if it fits and you've got that right clothing. So I like that. So loud and off-topic clothing is another concern. So if you are not a big personality, if you notice, I tend to be a little bit of a big personality and loud clothing is just very much my personality, so I lean into it. If that's not you, maybe you're more subdued, or maybe the conversation is, maybe it's heavy. I was recently on a podcast that was about championing tragic life moments and getting over and through those hardships. That conversation might not be great for a Marvel Comics jacket like I tend to wear in some settings. You know, maybe you just got to go on the down low and honor the conversation you're expecting to have by not going loud and not going off topic. I think that is important. Another thing that's a little bit off topic is when you're supporting brands that you maybe have no connection to. Under Armour, I have some Under Armour sportswear. I like it, it's good. But I don't know that I need to pump their brand on somebody else's show when there's so many other strategic plays. So I try not to overplay that hand, an unrelated brand, because I think it's just a missed opportunity. Now, and we all know, like the little Lacoste logo on a corner or something, you know, that's fine. I don't think that's still frequently on a very plain shirt and it's not distracting. I think what I get focused on is that I don't want a big distracting Nike just do it. Now, your basketball podcast talking about sports, maybe it's hyper relevant because you look the part, cool. But if you're talking about high finance and alternative investments, looking like you just came off the basketball court is probably an inappropriate application of clothing and styling for the conversation at hand. So read the room, know what you're getting into, and dress appropriately. I really like the idea of dressing for the part that you want to play. And so you're playing a role in life. Hopefully it's an authentic role and it's very you, but you're still playing for a certain part. And you're probably in a certain job, in a certain role in your life that is hopefully great, and you're dressing for that part. But I'd encourage you also to think about the part that is your next role and dress for that. And I think that goes for every room that you're walking into in life, that you want to prepare yourself for the next great opportunity. And when you're living out loud on a video podcast, that is your opportunity to really show up. It's another mark in society with your brand, your image. So just mind the store on how you want people to perceive you and do your darndest to do your best. Are you going to get it right every time? I'm on too many shows to get it right every time myself. And hopefully you're going to get on a lot of shows and host a lot of shows yourself. So you won't get it 100% of the time, but do your best. Not jingly. Wear your best colors. Try to promote your brand or somebody else's brand. Try not to go off topic with your clothing, and do your best. And so those are my tips, and I've been giving these tips for literally about 20 years now, and they prove to be pretty tried and true. And if you're ever struggle bussing on that, we're C47 Digital Studios. You can find us here at C47Films.com. Just reach out. You know, we're pretty helpful people. So if you're struggle bussing and this is a topic that you need to discuss, hit us up. I'm here. I'm Josh Pies. I'm the hippie capitalist and chief attention getter, and thanks for coming to our page. Go ahead and browse more on our website. There's a lot of content about doing your own podcast and how to pull this all off. If you're a do-it-yourselfer and you want to, champion a show of your own, I expect that there should be a lot of good information on here, including the Make It a Show free ebook. So if you haven't downloaded that, go to makeitashow.com. It'll redirect actually right back into this website, right where there's a pop-up where you can get that free ebook. Walks you through the whole process. And if you look at that and you go, gee, this is a little above my interest set or skill set, that's why we're here. That's what we do. So feel free to reach out. We can always talk about starting your show with you. Until then, best of luck. Have a great show.